It's one of the most infamous unsolved mysteries of modern times. A missing persons case that took place in a hotel room without any signs of forced entry, no obvious motive, and absolutely no trace of the missing person. What happened to Elisa Lam? This is my channel. And today we're answering the extraordinary question: what happened in Hotel Room 333? On January 2013, 21-year-old Elisa Lam checked into room 333 of the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. The quirky, stylish young woman had just completed her sophomore year at the University of California, Riverside, where she was studying pre-med and minoring in dance. She planned to spend a few days in LA before returning home to Vancouver, Canada for Chinese New Year with her family. But Lam never made it home. After 5 days, when she failed to check out of her room or respond to messages from her concerned friends and family, staff at the Cecil Hotel sent someone to check on her. When they knocked on the door and received no response, they let themselves in. And what they found left them baffled. The room was completely empty except for Lam's passport and her cell phone. Her wallet, money, keys, and luggage were all gone, but there were no signs of a struggle or forced entry. All of her clothing was still in the closet. Her toothbrush was still in the bathroom. Her laptop was still on the desk as if she had just stepped away for a moment. It was almost like she had vanished into thin air. But this was far from the first time that something strange had happened in room 333. In fact, it was known as the most haunted room in the hotel. Over the years, the staff had become accustomed to odd occurrences in the room. Lights flickering, doors opening and closing on their own, the sound of footsteps and whispers in the middle of the night, the feeling of being watched. And it wasn't only the staff who had experienced these strange phenomena. In 1964, 2 men committed suicide in the same room just 3 weeks apart from each other. A short time later, a woman jumped to her death from the balcony of the exact same room. Then, in the early 80s, a serial killer who would come to be known as the Night Stalker stalked the halls of the hotel. He broke into several rooms, killing 2 women and a young girl. And after his capture, he admitted that his main target during his bloody rampage was the Cecil Hotel. Although he claimed that he didn't kill anyone there, the police suspected that he was lying. To protect his reputation and get a reduced sentence, the killer served only 27 years in prison before being paroled in 2012. So why did Elisa Lam book the most haunted room in the most dangerous hotel in Los Angeles? The answer is, she probably didn't. See, the hotel management had renumbered the rooms after the string of bizarre events in an effort to shake the place of its notoriety. Room 333 was now officially Room 332. But due to an error on the part of the hotel staff, Lam was given the wrong key and she ended up in the infamous room anyway. As the investigation into Lam's disappearance continued, the police uncovered another intriguing detail. Surveillance footage from the hotel lobby showed Lam behaving erratically just hours before she disappeared. She appeared confused and agitated, as though she might have been under the influence of something. At one point, she was seen pressing the elevator button for the top floor, then immediately pushing it again, as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. She got on the elevator and rode it up to the roof, then got out and returned to her room. But something was definitely not right. Was she having some kind of mental breakdown? Had she taken something that caused her to behave strangely, and then vanish without a trace? Well, the CCTV footage from inside the elevator certainly didn't provide any answers, but it did raise more questions than it answered. You see, according to the footage, Lam entered the elevator alone and exited alone. So how could she have possibly vanished? There was no one else in the elevator with her when she disappeared. Unless she had somehow managed to make herself invisible, the logical conclusion was that someone had taken her from the elevator. But who, why, and how? The police combed through every inch of the tiny room, searching for clues. But aside from the missing person's personal belongings, there was nothing out of the ordinary. The bed sheets and curtains had not been disturbed since the maid had made up the room. There were no signs of a struggle, no broken furniture, no blood, no body. It was as if Lam had simply evaporated into thin air. And then a breakthrough. During the investigation, the police learned that Lam had been corresponding with someone over the internet. They tracked down the individual, whose name was believed to be Justin, but discovered that he had died 2 years prior. And although the authorities initially suspected that perhaps Lam had booked the room to meet someone else, they soon ruled this theory out, because if she had brought someone back to the room, it's likely that there would have been traces of that person's DNA on the bed or the sheets. There was none. So once again, the police were left scratching their heads, wondering if they'd ever find out what happened to Lam in room 333. Meanwhile, the internet sleuths were coming up with theories of their own. Some thought that the hotel staff were involved in some kind of conspiracy, while others believed that Lam may have actually faked her own disappearance. There was even speculation that she had actually climbed onto the fire escape and jumped from the balcony, although there was absolutely no evidence to support this claim. Then there was the occult theory. After all, Lam had checked in on the 3rd floor, which is a significant number in numerology. The date of her disappearance, January 2013, added up to 3 when you broke it down month by month. And there were other spooky coincidences as well, like the fact that she had stayed in room 333, formerly known as room 332, plus the whole haunted elevator thing. Some people believed that Lam had somehow stumbled into another dimension, or that she had been abducted by demons. But the most popular explanation was that Lam had fallen victim to the notorious Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, despite the fact that he had already been locked up for more than 20 years. However, police officials dismissed this and all other theories, insisting that they had investigated every possible lead and that they were certain Lam had not met with foul play. They believed that she had somehow left the hotel alive and were confident that she would turn up safe and sound. And so they searched the surrounding area for the missing woman, distributed flyers with her picture on them, hoping someone would recognize her and contact the authorities. They even went on television to plead with whoever had her to bring her back. But 1 month turned into 2 months, then 3 months, then 4. By May 2013, the police had all but given up on finding Lam alive. Her family, however, refused to lose hope. Despite the odds, they continued to search for her, plastering images of her face on billboards along the freeways near the Cecil Hotel. And then, 5 months after she disappeared, they got a call. Someone had spotted a woman who looked exactly like Lam walking along the side of a freeway in San Fernando Valley. Officers were dispatched, but when they arrived at the scene, the woman was nowhere to be found. To this day, Elisa Lam's disappearance remains one of the biggest mysteries of modern times. Her family never gave up hope of finding her alive, but it's now been more than 10 years and there is still no sign of her. So what really happened in Hotel Room 333? If you have a compelling theory, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out more content. Thanks for watching.